What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Back with my post-fight Sammy Vasquez versus Felix Diaz. And shout out to Al Heyman. PBC is killing the competition. Now, I talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly in my post-fights. It was an enjoyable fight up until the decision. The fight was declared a majority draw, which was, to me, was BS. I even tweeted that before they announced what was going to happen. And I stated that Diaz clearly won. The Vasquez point deduction was the nail in the coffin. Anything other than a Diaz unanimous decision is bullshit. And I turned out to be right. It was some bullshit. Now, to break down the fight, the good, Felix Diaz, he doesn't lose in this situation, even though it's a majority draw, because the fans know what it was and what they seen, what they witnessed. The CompuBox stats are pretty close. They landed and threw about the same, like almost identical. The percentage was almost the same. But CompuBox is cool, but you can't rely solely on that. Like, if somebody's throwing 300 punches and let's say 100 of them are hard punches or more impactful, snapping your head back, jarring your head back, making you stumble, cutting your face is bloody, and then another person landed or threw about the same amount and landed about the same amount, but they have less effect, then I mean, how would you rely on CompuBox in that situation? So clearly Felix Diaz did the better work. The way the fight played off, I don't have all the rounds memorized, but roughly Sammy Vasquez was confident early, and Felix Diaz looked real, just maybe he was trying to play possum, bait him in a little bit. But I was wondering in the first round, maybe first round or two, I was like, okay, Felix Diaz doesn't look as energized. Maybe he's beat down from the Lamont Peterson, and maybe it's the weight move, because I believe Peterson happened at a catch weight of maybe 143. This was the full welterweight. So I was wondering why Felix Diaz didn't look as energetic and everything as he did when he fought Lamont Peterson. But I think that might have been a ploy to give Sammy Vasquez, a prospect, a false sense of security, a false sense of hope, because about midway he turned it all the way up. There was things that I liked about the good for Felix Diaz is he's tricky and he has shades of different people. Like a part of his bravado and the showmanship and how it looks like he's just like relaxed and very loose and confident in there. That aspect of him reminds me of Yuriorkis Gamboa. He just like, it's like a cocky bravado, like hands down, I don't care, kind of like a Sergio Martinez Gamboa style. Then other aspects of his fight game reminded me of like a Sean Porter, how he would kind of immediately, like he would just take off, and it's almost that running back where he just like bulldozes you and rushes you, and he was landing some stuff like it was unorthodox. And part of him being unorthodox, a piece of it reminded me of Marcos Maidana. So I seen glimpses of all these different fighters in his one arsenal in his fight game plan, and I liked it because he was giving you different looks, hands low. He was having some showmanship. At one point he like dropped to the ground and he was having fun in there. He looked very fluid, very loose. Joel Diaz is a great trainer, and I like how they bounced back from the Lamont Peterson performance. A lot of people thought that was controversial and Felix Diaz should have won that, but me personally, I thought that was a very close fight, but I was okay with Lamont Peterson winning. This, I didn't see any way that Sammy Vasquez won, especially when in the 12th round, Vasquez spit his mouthpiece out, or he actually got it knocked out in this third infraction, but there was two other times where his mouthpiece kept coming out, and then the referee deducted a point. So even without that point deduction on my mental scorecard, I had Diaz winning. You know what I mean? Vasquez basically needed a knockout to win. But with the referee actually deducting a point, whether you like it or not, you have to tally it. You have to factor that into your decision. Then there's absolutely no way I seen Sammy Vasquez winning, especially with that. That, like I said in my tweet, was the nail in the coffin. If there's any, it's just like a knockdown. If someone's winning and then on top of that they get a knockdown, it's just, then there's no way the other person can win unless they knock them out. And that's what I seen. So the good was, I like Felix Diaz's performance. Good for Vasquez is this is a fight where he'll grow from, and it's a fight that pushed him. This was a last-minute replacement, so he definitely has heart, because he was supposed to be fighting Luis Collazo, and Collazo's a good fighter. I know Collazo. I don't know that the Collazo style would have been this much of a problem, because that would have been more of a slower-paced boxing. Like Sammy Vasquez with limited pro-level experience would have to be the ultimate matador to have defeated Felix Diaz tonight, right? But the Collazo fight would have been different. So Vasquez clearly has heart. It looked like his lip was cut really bad. It looked like it was starting to clot in the side, and they kept talking about that. But he showed heart. It just, that wasn't enough to win it for me. He took some big shots and he kept coming. He had his hands low. And one thing, this is the bad. The one thing that I hate about fighters, when they're not in control of the fight and they start trying to mimic what the other person is doing, who is ahead in the fight. You can't do that. Since Felix Diaz was having his hands low and kind of showboating and stuff, there was a couple rounds, maybe after the midway point, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, where Vasquez was like trying to like, come on, like fight. And he was having his hands low and he was walking to him. You are not in the position to do that. Another thing that I did not like from the Vasquez camp is Team Vasquez in between the round. I think it was a round where I thought Vasquez clearly lost the round. The team was like, yeah, that was a good round. That was a much better round for you. You're taking control. And I thought that was a bit of false information for the Vasquez team to say that, because I didn't think he looked good in that particular round or seized control over the round. And then the very next round, he started getting like chopped up and hit with some big shit. So I didn't think that corner advice was sound. I don't think they should have told him he was in control. This was it. After the midway point, to me, on my scorecard, it got to the point where Vasquez needed to win solid rounds and he couldn't like slack off. He had to really get to it, especially a guy with decent but limited power. He's not like a known knockout artist. Another person that Vasquez fought in the amateurs is Errol Spence Jr. Based on that performance and what bothered him and gave Vasquez problems, even though they're right about the same in terms of pro level fights, not too, you know what I mean, Errol Spence Jr. is not like he has like 40 fights or whatever. I would definitely pick Spence. I think he's further along. Spence beat him in the amateurs, but I definitely see it being a repeat in the professional, at least right now, because Spence just seems further along in that constant pressure. Plus Felix Diaz, I don't know what his natural weight is, because he fought the Peterson fight at 43, I think it was, and he moved up last minute to fight this at 47. Spence is a big welterweight with power, so I don't see his style meshing well with Sammy Vasquez, because it looked like the pressure was bothering him. And another bad thing for Vasquez is you need to know when to fight off the ropes. Especially out of young fighters, there's very few young fighters that I've seen that fight well off of the ropes or fight better off the ropes than they do in the center of the ring, especially tall fighters, right? You look at Floyd Mayweather, he's like one of the only people that fights really well off of the ropes, like no matter what style. Like if it's like a Maidana, someone who's that unorthodox, I didn't think Vasquez looked good against the unorthodox style against the ropes, so he should have kept in the center of the ring to me. The ugly is just, it's a black eye over the sport when fighters, you get like false sense of hope, like thinking, oh, it was a draw, knowing it really wasn't. You keep that perfect record, but you would have maybe learned some more in the loss, which it should have been in the situation of Sammy Vasquez. And then it's ugly too for Felix Diaz, who keeps putting on these performances, and they're always controversial with him getting the short end of the stick. That was clearly a victory. The point deduction was the nail in the coffin, yet he can't go home and celebrate as a champion because he can't say technically I beat this prospect. You just have to say, oh, I had a draw with this prospect, and everybody, you guys seen his face at the end, but he doesn't get the actual win in the win column. You know what I mean? So that's the ugly, man. I hate when we get good fights and then it gets overshadowed by just bad decision. They need to have some kind of system where the judges keep turning in bad scorecards. Like, make them get in front of the podium post-fight and explain what the hell they saw, and you would see that how dumb some of them sounded. Like, are you even watching the fight? You know what I mean? So there needs to be some kind of accountability. I'm just sick of the bad judging, which has been going on for years and decades, so we don't really know. Other than that, it was a good fight. Vasquez showed definite heart in the fight. I just thought he was on the losing side, and he was on the side where he was getting hit with some big punches and the unorthodox, tricky footwork and nature of Felix Diaz's attack. When he kicked it up about round 4 or 5, it just was too much for Vasquez where he's at right now. That's just what I saw, and I think a lot of people in attendance in Alabama saw that too, because they booed, loud boos. You hear a roar of boos as soon as they announced it was a draw, and then Felix Diaz held his hand up, Joel Diaz held his hand up, and people were cheering for him. So the crowd sometimes will let you know in those situations what happened. Like even like the Thurman, just to compare another PBC fight, Thurman Porter, that wasn't as like that's not the same as this fight to me. That was because Thurman to me was landing the clearly more effective shots right? It's just Shawn Porter has a rugged pressure and he stays on top of you. He was eating the shots and kept coming forward, kept pushing forward, digging to the body, and that was a all-out war. So that one's harder to gauge what was happening, but with this, even though Vasquez showed heart, you could clearly see who was losing the fight. The body language, the face, the commentary was good from Virgil Hunter, Danny Garcia, and everybody. And I mean, you could clearly see with the point deduction, there's absolutely no way I could see Vasquez winning. That's how I seen it. That's my post-fight breakdown. Like the video, share the video as always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.